first element of the uniquely Brazilian solution to working things out in many different situations is a person called a despachante or an agent. As an American setting out to do business in Brazil, you have to think about and find ways to acquire a good despachante if you have any serious business to transact with the bureaucracy, the unions, or most other Brazilian institutions. Perhaps the best way to describe a despachante is to recall the characters of Corporal Klinger in the TV program MASH, and perhaps even Sergeant Bilko in the early U.S. television program. You may remember, both were people who could find a creative, hidden, sometimes slightly against the rules way to fix any problem with regulations, paperwork, or supplies. A good despachante knows the right people in every important office in town, and they often specialize in a particular industry or regulatory area. They're more than a lobbyist. They're not quite a private detective, and they're not really bagmen. It may be actually kind of hard to describe what they do, but perhaps the best thing that we can say is that a despachante makes things happen. So how do you find a good one? Well, there's really only one way, and that is to be referred by a friend or a colleague. And they'll only do that when they've decided that they trust you, like you, and want to help you. Because successful Brazilian business people are much more likely to share their car or possibly even their significant other than they are to share their agent or despachante with an unknown person. Quite a few Brazilian researchers and writers have identified this phenomenon as representing the core of Brazilian business perspective and outlook.
There's many government steps you're going to have to go through. And the Brazilian will just say, well, if we go through this exact process, it's going to take us 2 years to do that. What can we do to get around this? Now, it doesn't say that Brazilians are sneaky or dishonest. You know, they're not, people talk, well, they're bribing everybody, and that's just, it's dishonest. We don't do business that way. In Brazil, it's viewed as, we want to get this done. We want to make something happen here. What do we have to do to make that happen? So that's the real key to survival in Brazil, is that jeitinho, or is there any way around the situation that faces us, and what's going to make the smoothest transition with the least resistance over the long period of time?
To dar jeitinho means literally to find a way around and out. And when the Brazilians use the phrase, they modify it with the HO on the end, giving the phrase itself a little affectionate twist, signifying the endearment that Brazilians attach to finding just the right solution to a dilemma, a clever and perhaps even hidden solution, or an adaptive response to conditions imposed by those with greater power or authority. An analogy might be the importance and even affection which scientists and mathematicians attach to what they call an elegant solution. Another way to relate the dar jeitinho process to an American experience might be found in American folk stories, where smaller but more clever creatures outwit bigger, meaner, more powerful but less flexible and more stupid creatures, sometimes even outwitting man himself. What this means for you as an American doing business in Brazil is that Brazilians are inherently admirers of clever solutions, especially those in which they feel they've taken part. A clever solution, in other words, is better than an equally effective but dull solution. If you keep this in mind as you prepare presentations, proposals, and plans for Brazil, you'll find that you've not only entertained your Brazilian associates, you'll convince them.
Exporting. Brazil is an exporting country. It has been forever. You will find world-class export managers. And in fact, one of the things that I've discovered over the years is that it's very common for a U.S. company to go into Brazil, start selling in the Brazilian market, and because of its partner or agent in Brazil, they end up taking that expertise and in effect getting into export opportunities in Africa, Europe, or Asia because of contacts or knowledge or expertise that their Brazilian counterpart has.
We've now come to the end of the video seminar portion of your package on doing business in Brazil. Everyone involved in this production hopes that you found the information useful, timely, and relevant. In Part 2, we've discussed the importance of taking a relaxed approach, especially to the initial phases of business development in Brazil. We've reviewed strategies you can use to develop relationships, manage your time, and navigate the bureaucracies. We've discussed throughout the video issues of race and gender which may arise in Brazil. And we stressed the effectiveness of personal growth and development as a business strategy for Americans entering the Brazilian market. Finally, borrowing from the TQM idea of continual improvement, we'd like to suggest that you try approaching the process of doing business in Brazil as a journey, rather than as a battle. If you think of this business opportunity as an opportunity for personal growth as well, then you are going to be rewarded several times over as you do what it takes to be successful in business in Brazil.